I have a type. It's pretty obvious. Well, not pretty obvious, because I guess most people that know me, they either think I like white guys, or, yeah, most people that know me generally think I like white guys or tall guys. Because I have dated a lot of white guys, I have dated a lot of tall guys, but I actually dated more Asian guys. I don't know, I date way more Asian guys than anything. Um, I do date a lot of Asian men. I don't know. It's like, what happened to like that nice Asian guy that I used to date that was like nice, and he came to America to get his education. He had like his bachelor's, getting his master's degree. He was a virgin and all this stuff. And it's like, where, and I'm not even talking about like a guy from like a certain country. I dated guys from India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Korea, well, South Korea. I dated guys from China. I've dated guys all over Asia. I dated a guy from Nepal, Bangladesh. Dated a lot. And then I've dated North African guys too. I dated a lot of North Africans. Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, and I've dated some East Africans from Ethiopia, Eritrea. Yeah, I don't know. People say I look Ethiopian, and that did not go well when I dated a Eritrean. I did go, I think, I don't remember where it was that date. It was either Tinder or Bumble where I met that guy from Eritrea. And that guy, he did not like that I looked Ethiopian. It was like we were all cool. He seemed great. Like everything was going well. And then he showed up in like this old ass car. It was like, it was so old. I've never even seen something like it. And it was like so old and unpopular. I've never seen something like that in my life. It looked like it was like some old kind of Toyota or something from like the 70s, early 80s that I've never seen in my life. Yeah, and it was like, it was weird. But he went crazy and attacked me on the date. And it was like, we were sitting in like the most peaceful place, like watching like a Tom Hanks movie. Who gets attacked during a Tom Hanks movie? Yeah, I remember. I don't remember the movie exactly, but I remember it was a Tom Hanks movie, and it was like, I don't remember, but if I looked it up, I'd know what Tom Hanks movie it was. But I remember it was a Tom Hanks movie because it was interesting and I wanted to see it. But this guy went crazy on me. I don't know. I've dated some Ethiopians. It's like they're nice and everything, but it's like the marrying you on the first date. That, surprisingly, I actually kind of like that, where we go on one date and you think I'm going to be your wife forever and everything. And it's like, you're not trying to sleep with me. You're trying to respect me. And it's like, cool. And it's like, I would consider marrying somebody after a first date, but it's like, I have to get to know you a little bit better. It's like, I'm not going to marry you like right away. I'm not going to say we're engaged, but I'll give it consideration. And it's like, sometimes you meet somebody and you go out on a date or two, and it's like, you're just clicking and you're like, you could be my soulmate. You could be my forever. But then later you realize that person was catfishing you. Well, wait, no, not catfishing you, love bombing you. But I've never been catfished. But I have dated a lot of Asian men and a lot of men from other countries. I don't know. There used to be like so many good Indian men that I would meet, and it's like, I'm not meeting all these good Indian men anymore. I'm meeting these like Indian men that are not very good people, or like, sometimes you meet an Indian guy and he's like refusing to go to the dentist or something. I don't know. I used to meet really good Indian guys that I really liked. I don't know. I've never had luck with Persian guys. It's like, it's always been weird. It's like, you say you like me, but you're waiting for a white girl to come along, because it's like in your dream when you would watch your porn, you'd see white girls and you're like, oh, I've always wanted a white girl. And I've had like they treat you like they expect you to do something, and it's like, yeah, that's not me. And it's like, I'll tell you before I go out with you, there's a 99.99999% chance I will never ever sleep with you. And on a first date especially, yeah, no, there's no chance in hell. So it's always interesting. But you know who I really love to date? Yeah, this guy, wait, no, not last year, 2021. Wait, no. No, 2020. I was dating this guy from Tunisia. He was like, I think he was like 6'7", 6'8". He was like really cute. He was really good. And then I dated a guy from Morocco. He was really good. I like Tunisia, but because I can speak some Arabic, so sometimes when I date these guys, especially the guy from Tunisia, he wanted me to speak Arabic, and that was a big deal breaker in our relationship. And then he was a liar and cheater, but he wasn't the worst, but it was like he was doing his thing. We weren't in a committed relationship or anything. But then I've dated some guys from, oh, there was a funny time, 2000, I think this was 2019. Yeah, probably 2019. I was dating this Algerian guy, and it was like, he was like pushy, and he like kept bugging me all the time, asking me questions, and it was like stuff you don't answer in public where other people can hear. So it's like, I would tell him, I'll tell you later, and he's like, you always tell me you'll tell me, I'll tell you later. And it's like, he would like kind of get whiny, and it would be funny. He was like a cute little guy. He wasn't the tallest. He was like 6 foot maybe, but he was cute. But he was annoying. And then because like he would do stuff, and it was like I wasn't feeling well, and then we'd go to the movies, and then one time he tried to convince me that I was a lesbian, and he's like, you won't do anything. It's like, yeah, we don't know each other well enough. And he would try to convince me I was a lesbian, and I'm like, no. And it's like, you keep trying, and I'm like, if I was a mean girl, I'd say this was sexual assault, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to say that. But it's like, you're borderline there, and it's like, you need to stop. And then the funny thing was, he told me that how some Algerian men in America will marry you, and they will leave you for papers. And then the funny thing was, he tried to when he was telling me I was a lesbian, and I'm like, yeah, it's over. And then, like, not too long ago, he got back tried to get back in contact with me, which was funny, because he was trying to get back in contact with me, and it's like, why are you trying to get back in contact with me? You were trying to convince me I was a lesbian last time I saw you. Yeah, but there was this really nice guy that I dated. He was from Morocco. He was a kickboxer in Morocco. He was a really sweet guy. He was older than me. Yeah, I had a nice time with him. He was really sweet, and we dated for a while, and we lost contact. But I would see him every now and then, and he was so sweet. Whenever I'd see him, he'd always give me like a hug and a kiss. And then COVID happened, and then we lost complete contact. Yeah, his name was Mustafa, but I like to call him Mufasa, like the Lion King. Yeah, he was a sweet guy. Yeah, I've dated a lot of people. Yeah, because it's kind of weird when you hear about people saying, like, they dated a lot of people, and then they're like, they slept with all these people they dated. And it's like, yeah, I went on dates with a lot of people. I did not sleep with those people. That is really gross. And then people are like, thinking like you did this stuff, and it's like, no, I didn't do that. That is really gross. And it's like, if you dated a lot of people and you slept with all those people, it's like, you should be in the hospital getting checked out for some tests and stuff. It's like weird. It's like, I'll go to a movie, go hang out with you, whatever. Yeah, and it's like, when I say I dated a lot of people, it's not like people like spent like a bunch of money on me. It's like a lot of times I go on dates, and I'll go to like AMC and go to the movies. And because I have my AMC pass, a lot of times no one spends money on me, and I don't expect anyone to spend money on me. Sometimes we'll go for a walk, we'll go for a hike, we'll go wander around, we'll go talk and get to know each other. It's like, because like I hear about like these women on like YouTube, they're like, they need to fly you out, they need to pay for all this stuff. And I'm just like, why are they doing this? And it's like, this is really weird. If they don't see you as wife material, it's like if somebody saw you as wife material and they were going to marry you, they're like, oh, this person's great, we clicked, everything, I'm going to fly them out because I want to meet them and I think this could be my future wife and the mother of my children or something. It's like that I can understand. But then when I hear like they flew you out for like other intentions and you don't look like somebody that somebody would want to marry and make the wife and everything, I don't get that. And it's like, I don't think you need to be like all high maintenance and everything. It's like, I do not want to be with some guy that's high maintenance and all that stuff. I don't care if you have all the money in the world. If we don't click, I'm not happy. I don't want to be with you. But then that's kind of like weird because sometimes I meet guys and they're broke and like we click and everything, but then it's like I can't be with you because I'm not a driven person. I'm not like outgoing and everything, but I will work for what I want, and I consider it to be a life goal and a life priority to stay out of the hood. So I need to work and make sure I have money to stay out of the hood, and I would hope that for future generations. And then like I don't understand this thing when people are like, oh, my wife can't work. It's like, I don't care. If I'm gonna marry somebody, I'm gonna expect you to work, I'm gonna work, and we'll live in a nice neighborhood. It's like I might not necessarily put money towards the bills because who knows, I might be saving money for vacation, I might be saving money for college for the kids, who knows what. But there will, if I get married and find a husband, we will both work, we will have a savings, we will have our stuff together. But it's like I see all this stuff and then people are talking about all this stuff, and then it's like weird, there's like this really weird thing I don't understand. It's like people who get married and neither of them can cook. It's like I don't understand this. How do you eat if you can't cook, they can't cook? And I think like this might be kind of controversial or whatever, but I think if you get married, there's like a set duty for like the man, like, because I know if I got married and say if I had a dog, I would expect my husband to be the primary dog poop picker upper. And if I had a baby, I would assume I would be the main diaper poop changer. He picks up the dog poop, I change the baby and take care of the baby and make sure the baby stays alive. I take care of the house and buy all the food and everything and cook it. I would expect him to do the main garden work and stuff. And it's like if I wanted to have a garden or something, it's like I take care of that. But if I see a bug that scares me, I go call him if I don't want to take care of it. Or like if I see something that scares me, it's like that's a husband's duty to take care of it. I'm scared, you protect it. Something's up high, you go get it. I think there are certain roles, and because a man makes more money generally, I would expect you to make more money. And I would expect a man to want his family to stay out of the hood, ghetto, trailer park, whatever you want to call it. That's not a goal of mine, to be in a place like that. And it's not even like I'm saying I want to be in like the nicest neighborhood. No, I don't, because then that would be so annoying. I'd rather just be in like a decent suburb. But it's always interesting. I've dated a lot of interesting guys. Oh, this is a guy that I did not date. This is a story. There's this guy. I actually know this guy. I'm not going to give any names or anything. But he was sitting in front of me talking to somebody. And he's like, he was telling his girlfriend if she wanted to be with him and saw a future with him, she had to commit to poverty. And I'm sitting there thinking like, what the hell? Who the hell commits to poverty? Yeah, I can't do that. I went to school for too long. I took up everything I could. So if one thing fails, I have another thing to fall back on to make sure I can get a decent job. I have a full-time job. I have side jobs when I feel like going and everything. Because my goal is, even when I get old, and it's like, I don't plan to retire. I live in California. I don't plan to retire. It's too expensive. I love California. And you're thinking like, oh, you love California, homeless people and stuff. No, I don't live in that part of California. I don't see very many homeless people unless I go to that part of California. And I don't, well, I do go, but not too often. But I see myself, because I want to live my best life and do my best. So I could see myself like not retiring, but working when on my own terms when I feel like it. And then plus I don't want to pay for healthcare. So if I get a job and work at least 40 hours doing something, then I get free healthcare with my job most likely, or pay a small portion. But it's like weird. I've dated so many men from so many different places. I have a type. Yeah, because people are always like, oh, I thought you liked white guys. It's like, yeah, I date white guys sometimes. And then people are like, you don't like black guys. I actually do date black guys. I date a lot of guys from Africa. Yeah, I've dated people from Africa. Yeah, well, Africans. But then, like, what's interesting, like, guys, like, I like Dominicans too. I have a crazy story about a Dominican guy that tried to date me. He tried to tell me he was a businessman. And then I walk outside my office, because, like, we hung out with him one time. Then he, like, grabbed my arm, and it was like he was aggressive and stuff. And it was, like, weird. But then I was leaving my office one day, because I don't go to my office all the time. I go sometimes, but this is when my office used to be near like a U-Haul place. And I walk outside, and then this man who told me he had a business and everything, because this man tried to like move in with me and stuff. And he's like, oh, because I was moving to another place, and I had a nice townhouse and everything, and like right downtown of a city. And I was like, I'm moving. And I was telling him, because I was talking about it, because this was during the time I was moving. And he's like, oh, you should keep your place, and you should rent me a room for $500 and stuff. And I'm like, why? You have a business. You have all this stuff going for you. And then turns out, when I walk out my office, because it was like, I didn't like this guy at the time, because it was like only a few days later after all this happened. Because I was like, he was like, oh, you should come see me. And it was like, he was a cute guy. He was a cute older guy. And I'm like, oh, this sounds great and everything. And at the time I was really young. So I'm not thinking much of it. And I'm like, he's cute. Everything seems good. And then he got aggressive and like started pulling my arm, and it was like scaring me. And then the next thing you know, he's telling people at like the U-Haul and stuff that I'm crazy. And it's not even the people that work at the U-Haul, because he didn't work at the U-Haul store, because he couldn't, because it turns out he was illegal. So the crazy thing was, turns out he was illegal. And then like he would tell me he had like these baby mamas that were like crazy and stuff. And it seems like he was abusive and he was illegal and trying to live off these women from getting them pregnant and them having his kid. And he's like, oh, they're keeping my kids from me. It's like, why don't you go to court so you can go see your kids? And it's like, he's across the country. And then it was like, he was telling me he had this business. I walk out, and turns out his ass is a day laborer. Because he was like, oh, I have a company and I'm doing all this stuff. I walk out my job, my office, and then his ass is over standing, waiting for a job, somebody to pick him up at U-Haul. And I'm like, oh. And then it was like, ever since then, he's told people I was crazy. I don't know. It's like weird people try and like date me. And these are like people that try and date me in person. Yeah, because I remember I was at work one time. Another time I was at work. And this guy, he like comes up to me. He's like, he's a street minister. And I was with somebody, because I work with people. And then the person I was with, who I was working with, they were like, oh, I want your number. I want to talk to you. And this was another man that doesn't realize what's going on. And he's like interested in a religion. So I'm like, whatever. And then so he gives the number. And then this guy would call this person's phone, because he knew I would be there. And he's like, oh, I'm waiting for you and everything. And then it turns out he didn't have a good job, but he was like, oh, I have a few kids and stuff. And I found this out later. And turns out, like, my company, it was like I was switching companies, but I was still at one company switching. And then turns out my company would work in the place where he would work. So I knew how much he made, and I ended up making more money than him anyway. And then the funny thing was, I found out he had a wife and like 2 kids. And the way I found that out was he was like basically hoping I wouldn't say anything, that he was trying to talk to me, because I commute to work, and I was commuting, and him and his wife were standing in front of me with their 2 children getting on the bus. And that's how I found out he had a wife and 2 kids. It was funny. Yeah, I have so many stories about how guys have tried to trick me and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't fall for it, because it's like, one thing I say, I will tell you, I will do a background check on you. You give me your name, your first name, your last name, I will do a background check. And I'm not going to do like one where you have to pay, but then if it's like, because there's like, I have a limit of what I will go through to see if we're meant to be and everything, especially if it gets like more serious. It's like, if you want to sleep with me, I need to see a needle go in your arm, and you go to the doctor and get some tests done. And then like guys will be like, no, why do I need to do that? And I'm like, because I'm not trying to get anything, and I care about my health, and I care about myself, and I have self-respect. Yeah, so that, and then it's like, I'll do the background check, and then I'll do the basic one, and then I'll start to see stuff, and then I'll ask questions. And then it's like, if you don't let me see your phone, it's like, what are you hiding? Yeah, especially if things are getting serious, and you're like, oh, I want to be your boyfriend or something. It's always interesting, the things that happen. But one thing I can say, oh, and the guys that did this stuff, they weren't Asian men. They weren't Asian men. But I do have a spot where I do really like Asian men. And when I say I like Korean men, I don't mean Korean like BTS. I'm not into that. I'm more like, what is that guy on that show? It's not the way he looks on the show, because it was like, I saw him at an award show. It's like, I like Korean guys that look like that. And then there's like, he's an old guy. He's like, I'm not sure what he is, but he's Asian, and he's like an older man. He's like in his 50s, and he's like a good looking man. Like, I like some Asian men. I like them Indian. I like them from Pakistan, Afghanistan. Oh, I have some funny stories about some shit in Afghanistan. And that will be another video. But I love all men. Actually, no, I don't. I don't know why I said I love all men, because then that's controversial. I love men that were born men, biological men, to be correct. And I don't love them all. Yeah, I don't love all biological men or anything either. I like the ones that I think are cute, interesting, and funny, and all that good stuff. But if you like my videos, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And I can't wait to show you all my new stuff coming up. It's going to be fun, exciting, and I think you're going to love it, what I have coming up in the future. So many good things, and I might be expanding my channel to showcase other things. But I'm just excited with all the things I have coming up, and I'm sure once you see it, you'll be excited too. Watch, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I'll see you next time. Bye.